This episode of Buckle Up Betties is brought to you by me, Ashley Morrow, because this is my first podcast and I ain't got no corporate sponsor. None. Zero. $0 for me. Welcome to episode 2 of Buckle Up Betties. I am your hostess, Ashley Morrow. Here in the Buckle Up Betty studio with me, I have Skip Nichols, who is basically told me he's now a sound engineer because he has a turntable and 2 microphones. And also present is my mother, Alicia Morrow, and my stepkid. Basically, you're my stepkid now. We're just going to call it that, Abby Nichols. They're refusing to actually be in a microphone, but let's be honest, they're probably going to giggle at some point, so there's no ghost. Y'all will hear about the ghost in my world later in other episodes, but for now there is no ghost. We have a live studio audience, even if this isn't coming to you live. So after my first episode, I asked for some feedback from some people, and I got some good feedback that I actually didn't tell any of you guys who I am, which now in retrospect sounds sort of narcissistic and asshole-ish, but I really didn't think about people other than like my friends listening to this. So for anybody who's new and tuning in, thank you. I hope you enjoyed episode 1. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Ashley Morrow. I am an Alabama native. I am a business coach and consultant, and I got here sort of in a crazy way. I invented a product called Alchemy, and Alchemy is a jewelry sealer that you can spray on your jewelry and keeps your jewelry from tarnishing or like from turning your skin green. You know, you've seen like a woman wear a cheap piece of jewelry and it turns her skin green. Well, my product stops that from happening. But the number one reason that people actually buy my product is because jewelry makes their skin itch. Especially earrings, their ears itch and swell, and my product stops that from happening. It's in almost 500 stores across the country. I've been featured on Home Shopping Network several times. That success has really allowed me to do some really cool things like business coaching and consulting. I am a co-owner in a retail incubator called the Shops at Coldwater. It's located in Tuscumbia, Alabama, and we sell awesome clothes and gifts and just a little something for everybody. And my partners and I, we also own an Allstate agency together. So I don't do the Allstate part because insurance is boring. I get to do the fun stuff like make people look cute and tell them what's wrong with their business. I really enjoy telling people stuff like that. Anyways, so now that you kind of know who I am and maybe why you're listening, or maybe that tells you why somebody sent you to this podcast. Maybe you need to hear something about your business or a word of motivation, but what we're going to talk about right now is neither of those things. So I am 37 years old, and I find that no matter how much I coach a business and I say, you know, sort of find your voice and find your brand, I find myself sometimes trying to be cuter than I am. So I had a I had a client the other day ask me something, and I wrote back like, and don't forget, if you spend $50 or more, you get a free pair of Sunnies. And I'm like, Sunnies? I am not like a 20-year-old Instagram model. Like, I don't know why I just called sunglasses Sunnies. And it sort of made me think about all these words that we sometimes use and we think it's cute, but maybe it's not because we're too old or we're not actually cool enough to do it. Or like, we don't totally understand the meaning of the word, which made me think of, I swear this is the funniest story I've ever heard. So my sweet friend Patty has she's one of our retail incubator clients, and she knows I'm telling the story, so she's, get mad and glad later. 2 years ago, when she went to go get her new cell phone, she's sort of tech impaired and sort of struggles a little bit with social media and all that kind of stuff. They said, well, Miss Patty, what are you going to be using your phone for? She said, well, I'll tell you what I won't be using it for. I won't be using it for twerking. He said, Miss Patty, what do you think twerking is? She goes, what's that thing you do on Twitter? And they said, well, that's tweeting. She goes, oh, well, what's twerking? They said, well, it's sort of where you thrust your hips out real provocatively. It's a dance move. She goes, well, I won't be doing that either with my new phone. And I sort of love the idea of getting tweeting and twerking confused. And now I don't ever want to tweet again. I just want to twerk on Twitter. And I think we could make that something to trend. Hashtag twerk on Twitter. And I love the the twerking videos that go wrong. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's the, the girl who's like trying to send like the sexy video to her guy, and she's twerking and she like knocks off the candle and about sets her living room on fire. Okay. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'm getting real excited. These videos are like life-giving to me. Like I love them so much. But thinking about words that say wrong, I guess a part of my story that I haven't shared is that I am a widow, and when my husband was alive, he was really, really smart, but he was still trying to sort of figure out the business world. We ended up business together, and we were on the phone one day with our lawyer, and we were trying to sort of, look at the scope of this business opportunity we had been given, and Micah was trying to say this word, and he was so sure it was the right word, but it was like he wasn't not sure enough. It's like he kept trying to double down on it, and like he was trying to like get there. And you know what I mean? Like you think of the word and you think it's the right word, but it's not totally the right word, so you just keep saying it over and over until it either clicks or someone corrects you. And he goes, look, he's trying to tell the lawyer that he's trying to be transparent. And he said, look, we're just trying to be clairvoyant with you. Clairvoyant. That's people who see into the future, for our new listeners who don't have a Webster. And so when we got off the phone, he said, well, how did you think the call went? I said, well, Miss Sheila, I think it went really, really good. Also, we need to get you a crystal ball. And it became like a joke for us for the rest of our relationship. And so I love the idea of taking a word and sort of totally messing it up and it becoming a thing. But going back to the twerking videos, I also really super love the videos of the women who get the stripper pole installed in their house, and then they like try to spin around. They always like take out the sheetrock and the load bearing, whatever it is. I mean, they like take the whole thing down with them. Well, Betty's, buckle up, because I just found earth-shattering news about stripper poles. They make stripper poles that spin. Are you hearing me, Betty's? No more, like I thought that strippers put something on their hands to make them be able to go up and down the pole and turn around. But then I thought, God, how strong do your hands have to be be able to sort of hold on and do that acrobatic stuff? Also, I've never been to a strip club, so I'm just, sort of projecting what I think it would be like. And so anyways, they make poles that spin. And in my wildest dreams, I never would have thought that it would spin. And I think that's really a great example that modern day problems need modern day solutions, like a spinning stripper pole. So then I wonder if the women who tore their house up with the stagnant, is that the word I'd use? Static. See? That's a double down on the word. If they had used the static pole, if they used a twisty one, would they have just like gone into the wall? Would it just like spun them into like how fast does it spin? I need a Betty to do a little research. And look, it doesn't have to be on the internet. If you wanted to go to a strip club and then report back to me, that's between you and Jesus and your spouse. But I need to know more about these stripper poles that spin. I'm like totally fascinated by it. I want to know how fast they go. I want to know, is that really superior to the static, that's the word, static pole? It's really fascinating. Tricks of the trade, man. Tricks of the trade. I'm looking at my list. So I just got back from Dallas Market. I went out there and did 2 talks for Dallas. I did a talk on generational marketing, and I did a talk on how to build an authentic online brand. And while I was out there, Skip, the fiance and wannabe sound engineer, I can't say wannabe since he literally is, he picked up his phone and I happened to look and I was like, what a weird place to put his Facebook icon. And then I thought, if you could actually see into someone's phone, and I'm talking about if you're looking at your partner's phone all the time, y'all need to be in therapy. Like, seriously, don't snoop. That's so rude. Like, I don't understand when people like snoop and then they find something they don't like and they get really mad. Well, then don't snoop. And if you're doing something that your spouse don't need to be looking at on your phone, go to therapy, get some medication. Y'all know how I feel about that. Like, get happy and get over it. Anyways, but if you think about how people organize their phones, it's sort of like a snapshot into their brain. Like, do they keep 5,000 emails on unread? Do they keep their social media apps in one little thing and they click on that and it opens all of them up? Or do they, how do they organize it? I'm not that way. I have the same screens with the same things, and every phone that I go to, I never deviate from it because I now have a system that I could almost close my eyes and find the right app on the phone. I don't keep things in the smaller box on iPhone where then you click on it and it give you all these options. And I don't know, do people do that so they can make more space and less screens so they can have more apps sort of like right there on this one or two pages? Like, I don't totally understand why you would do it that way. I could tell you one thing. I don't understand people who delete their text messages. I don't understand how you can be in business and delete your text messages. I have to go back and refer to that stuff. Do you guys have a frontal lobe that just works better than everyone else's? I do not understand. I need those things for a reference point. I will tell you one thing, though. If you ever looked at my phone, you know what you're going to see? A lot of screenshots. I am the screenshot queen. Man, if I ever feel like you're doing something sketchy online, I'm going to take a screenshot and save it for later. I don't know when that's going to come in handy. Now, what am I saying? I would blackmail you with that? I don't think that is what I'm saying as much as I think it's sometimes just nice to have a screenshot. Sometimes there's people who go back and forth and it's so stupid, it really needs to be, sort of captured for posterity. Is that the word? Posterity? I got the thumbs up. Wow. Why use a $5 word when a $75 one will do? I think posterity is more a $75 word than a $100 word. So how do you organize your phone? I'm going to do a post on Buckle Up Betty's. Y'all send me a screenshot of your phone. Show me how it's organized. Who knows? You may inspire me. I may get organized. I mean, I probably won't. My coffee table looks like it's trying to cover up like a dead body that's on it or something. There's just like shit piled up everywhere. And it's organized chaos. Like, I understand it, but I think that everybody who comes to my house, including my housekeeper, and they probably think I literally totally lost my mind. I like to think that my house is what the inside of my brain would look like organized chaos. Like, not quite needing medication, but just right there on that borderline where things are still sort of fun. Okay, so we are getting down to our motivational minute. One of the things I'm going to try to do with Buckle Up Betty's is give everybody sort of a motivational thought or something to work on until the next episode. And I'm sort of, I guess I'm gearing up for the upcoming political election cycle. I have a couple of contracts that are sort of leaning towards giving some communication advice that way. And so as I'm thinking about that, and I'm starting, still noticing what people have to say about national politics or about their local politics. And I guess this is the thought that I sort of have about some of that. And I think this applies to our personal lives as well, is don't complain about things that you aren't willing to change. Okay? If you're fat, like I am, don't complain about being fat if you're not willing to get up and move a little bit. Okay? I think that's fair. It's like, if you're dumb, but not so dumb that you're too dumb to know that you're dumb, like, go get smart. Read something. If you want to know and be educated about it, do it. Don't complain about being dumb on it. Just go do it. Reading is fun. If you see something in your community that you don't like, quit bitching. Get up and go do something about it. I think the time is absolutely right now. Female leadership, we need female leaders right now as bad as we need anything else. We talked about this last time. The studies show that if a Fortune 500 company has more female board members on it, it runs more profitably and the employees are happier. And so we are standing right now at a crossroads situation where we really need females and leaders to step up and step into roles. And I think no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, I think left and right both agree with that. I think that the right, for sure, conservatives really need to have some new leadership stand up that can help bring in some younger people. Left people, y'all need some leadership too. Everybody needs some new leadership. And so I would encourage you to look at ways that you can continue to serve your community and look at yourself. Are you a nagger? Are you a whiner? God, I try really hard not to be a nagger or a whiner. Hey, and it's real easy to do. It's real easy to be like, my hips are killing me. And I know that part of that's because I'm fat and I haven't done anything in a while. And part of it's because I rode to Dallas in a car and I didn't move for a really long time. But you know what? I'm not going to complain about it because I could go get a massage or take some Advil or go move around a little more and give my body something else to complain about. Like, don't be a complainer. Do something about it. Don't complain that your relationship sucks. Do something about it. Get into therapy. Work on your relationship. Seriously, I feel like one of the things that bugs me the most as a business coach is people who make chronic excuses. Being mindful of that, if you're making excuses, and now sometimes excuses are what they are. They are an explanation of what went wrong, okay? I'm talking about where nothing is your fault, where everything is someone else's fault, or like the whole universe has conspired against you. You know, you're not in a Final Destination movie. That's like not a real thing, okay? Like being aware of where things went wrong, whether or not that was your fault, things you could have done differently, things that you could have communicated differently. Like, I cannot stand, have you ever seen that meme that talks about like people who bring up old shit, okay? Like, I feel like there's a window that if I get really mad at my fiance, I sort of have this window that I can say, hey, that hurt my feelings, or I wish you wouldn't say that to me. And then that's it. And then he can either say, I'm so sorry, or what are you talking about? You're crazy. I mean, we can have a real talk about it, but I can't 6 months from now have an argument about something else and be like, oh yeah, well 6 months ago you said this and it really hurt my feelings and I'm still mad at you about it. Like, that's not real. And I feel like so many times we do that in our relationships, with our friendships, with our romantic relationships, when really all we're doing is, you know, complaining about things that we're not willing to change. And I talk to so many women who are unhappy in their marriages, and they're like, well, he won't go to therapy. Well, you should go to therapy. You should go find a therapist or a priest or a friend that's qualified. Like, find somebody to talk to and work on yourself. Even if he doesn't come, even if she doesn't come, if you can't get them to want to work on it too, you can always work on yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And hey, some of you are listening to this right now going, man, this girl's a bitch. And some of you are listening to this right now and you're really uncomfortable. Hey, if you're uncomfortable, I may be talking to you. Okay? It's like when I tell people sometimes, I post these Facebook statuses about if you sell makeup or skincare and you use a filter over it when you post a selfie, you are lying. That is false advertising. And I tell people when they say that makes me uncomfortable, I was like, well, then I'm obviously talking to you. So if this talk makes you uncomfortable, think about that. Are you making excuses for the negative things in your life? Are you living a life that is centered around chaos and you are the common denominator every time? That's hard. That's hard to hear. And that's hard to sort of accept and to decide if that's you. I would encourage you to look at that. I am such a proponent for living a peaceful, happy life that I think anything is worth, your happiness is worth everything. And if it means taking a step towards happiness and people that don't come with you, well, sometimes people make those choices for you. Sometimes those are not your choices to make. You know, if your partner doesn't want to come with you on a journey to get mentally healthier, to make your marriage work, to make your relationship work, they may have made a decision for you. And I know that's hard to hear. And it may be your opportunity to step up as a leader of that relationship and say, hey, I want us to live a different life. I would encourage you today to be sure that the things that you do and what you pour into your relationships and what you pour into your family are yielding a result that make you happy. Life is way too short. I became a widow at 32. I loved a man who was hard to love, okay? I know the hardship that comes with being in a hard relationship or having a friend that you love that's a little hard. I understand that. And I would just encourage you to live in a way that's bigger than what you ever thought was possible, because I promise you were created for that. And I promise your life means more than that. And if you're not sure about that, send me an email and I will tell you about all the ways that you're awesome. And if I don't know you, we're going to find some ways that you're awesome. And we're going to talk about it and we're going to pull that back into you. Well, Betties, I think I have gone through all of my time today. I'm not normally going to do this, but at the end of when I get done rambling on here, I'm going to put the full version of the theme song. I just think it's so cool, and I want you guys to be able to hear all of it. Now, if you don't want to listen to all of it, you can just, hang up, press pause, press end after this. But I just was so excited when I found the theme song. It's called We Go High by Grace Mesa, and we're going to close out with that. And Betties, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will catch you on episode 3. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at Buckle Up Betties. And anytime you need to chat, you can like and follow me, Ashley Morrow, on Facebook, or Ashley N. Morrow on Instagram. All right, Betties, till next time, buckle up. I don't play around. I'm coming, better watch out.